to like this NPR voice state when I get really tired. It's like my
Actually,
voice
NPR modeled their talking off of you.
it just
think.
falls flat. Just like I can speak very flatly.
You're my goal for patience.
Oh man. Well, I don't know if I can hold up to that bar. We'll see. Well, welcome to the LA edition of the Hermeus podcast. I'm your host, Daniel Budenstein, and I figure we'll kind of interview style go around and say names.
I'm Neel. I moved out to LA recently. I'm on the propulsion team, and Dan's my manager.
I'm Francis. I've been at Hermeus coming up to a year now. I came from SpaceX and currently going to school for mechanical engineering while working full time.
I'm Tatum. I moved to LA about a year ago. I've been with Hermeus for about 3 years, and I'm on the vehicle design team.
And I'm Daniel. I'm the manager of propulsion, so I support Neel. And I guess I've been at Hermeus for 2 years as of yesterday.
Oh, hey,
So
congrats.
very fresh too.
We have so many balloons around the office. Why didn't we?
That's true.
We'll pop one after this.
Yeah.
Into the mic.
We do like the I don't know, the monthly cookout. So maybe we'll lump my birthday in with 2 or 3 of the dogs' birthdays. And then I'll be only third priority for the party.
Spoken like a manager.
All right. So I've got a paper here with questions, which we'll roll through at some point. But I guess this is the first time the podcast has been hosted out in LA. I guess you can see some of the space in the background behind us. But we've got like 10,000 square feet right now, 5,000 square feet of office space, 5,000 square feet of high bay space. It's a pretty sick place to be. We have like a pretty open concept seating area, which I don't think you guys can see, but it's like back that way. The rest of the floor is off that way and has like proprietary stuff in it, so probably can't look too much that way, but got a big ass flag. We opened the LA office, one, because a lot of the like hypersonic and flying fast plane like corridors, places to fly are on the West Coast. So LA is pretty good proximity to a few of these ranges, and LA is like pretty big aerospace hardware hub. So the people are here. We've got nice weather. And yeah, it's a fun spot.
It'll be fun to support flight testing when it comes out to California too. Much easier than traveling and staying out in hotels for months coming from the Atlanta office.
Neil's gonna be the prop like engineer in charge once the vehicle comes out to the Edwards for Mark I's flight test campaign. So it'll be hyped.
It'll be sick.
All right, let's see. A few questions. And I know you guys haven't seen these questions at all, which makes them more fun. And know that we're not live technically, but we're gonna do, I don't know, Saturday Night Live style. So I started working only out of the LA office. Francis started working only out of the LA office, but Neel and Tatum moved from the Atlanta office over to the LA office. So, with your unique perspective, can you walk us through some of the differences or changes you've seen in between the Atlanta office and the LA office?
Ooh. So I've seen all versions of the Atlanta office. The one that was in the airport originally, and then the one that was offsite, and now the current factory. And I'd say there was a lot of cultural transition between those 3 Atlanta offices. And how I'd compare the LA office to the Atlanta offices is it is most similar to that original Atlanta office where we would come in and everybody knows what's going on because you can hear so much, and it's easier to overhear 20 people than 100. And there's like a lot of conversation, a lot of, not that there's not conversation in Atlanta, but it's a bigger office, so it's harder to have those one-off conversations or those really productive eavesdropping sessions. Like a non-work one is the Atlanta office is located around a lot of really good food for lunch, and we are less fortunate in LA to have such a good option. But we do get the catered food we get, Joel gets it. So that's yeah. I'm trying to think.
But Hummus House.
Oh yeah. I mean,
yeah,
okay,
team
there's the
lunch.
one-offs, but it's like where it is in Atlanta is there's multiple hummus houses, it feels like, or that's standard. Also the snacks here, much different. I like them better here.
The smoked salmon is a crazy quality of life bump.
Oh yeah. Joel gets it. I keep saying this and no one is. Yeah. Other than that, there's nothing too dissimilar other than, yeah, you're able to have those one-off conversations a little bit easier just because the office is smaller. We still definitely follow the same Atlanta rules because we are good as an office.
Nailed it.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen all the locations that Tatum has seen. We had just moved into the factory for the first time. We did not have air conditioning or heating. We didn't have chairs or desks. We held our like stand-up meeting, or the whole company was, I think, like 30 people at that point. So we had 2 couches, one of which one of the legs had broken. So we broke off the other 3 legs. So it was a lowrider couch. And that's how we'd hold our stand-ups. It was super small and devy, like a real R&D environment. We definitely have the same vibe here. We don't make as much hardware, so it's not as hectic, but we do like burst testing, thermal testing, like life cycle testing. We, one of the engineers here has made the like very first Hermeus in-house designed actuator. So build things, test things, break things quickly, figure out the problem and solve it. Definitely permeates this whole office. It doesn't hurt that a lot of the people at the office are from SpaceX, so that culture has also bled in. And I think over time, as the LA office presence has grown, we're like supposed to take trips back to Atlanta every so often. I've been back like 3 or 4 times. I think like we've become very good. And I don't know if it's because the LA office got added, but over time, the company has gotten better at figuring out if something is a problem. If it is a problem, dealing with it. If it's not a problem, stopping stressing about it, which has been a good change to see.
It's like a growing pain, I think, as well. Not just a new office, but like, oh, we have things to deliver.
Yeah.
The deadlines are closer.
I forgot we didn't go over exactly what kind of work we do in the LA office. Which, like,
Oh yeah, we should do a round of that.
You work here? No.
I fucked that up. So, in general, I think we kind of do 2 genres of things in the LA office. One, like flight sciences, dynamics, performance, flight envelope understanding, the hand calcs and the first principles of how you go about sizing an aircraft to do the job that people want it to do. And then we also, on the hardware side, do small, high complexity components and subassemblies. So really good example is the aerosurface actuator. In the future, we're taking on more like high complexity subassemblies, the integration and large vehicle testing. And frankly, the bulk of hardware still happens in Atlanta. They've got literally 10 times the space we do. And not actually 10 times the number of people, but like 8 times the number of people over in Atlanta. But yeah, so Neel and I are on the prop team, and we do some prop hardware out here. Francis is on the mechanisms team, works a lot with hardware, and Tatum kind of is a blend between like.
What do I do, Dan?
I'd say you're like
Tell me.
Yes, on the performance side, and also on the hardware side, you're kind of a bridge. Francis, how would you say the culture differs from your past life, work life?
Cool. So honestly, for me, I think one of the biggest things, I always like relate back to the fact of like me going to school and working. That like, I think one of the best ways to like put it as an example and like show how like Hermeus is I'll be here and I'll be like 5 o'clock and people will approach me and be like, hey, don't you got to leave for school? Aren't you going to be late? Like you should stop working and go to school. And at previous jobs, like they'll be okay with like me going to school and stuff like that, but it was like I always had to remind them that I'm going to school. Whereas here, it's like, no, like better yourself. Like this is going to be good for you. Like you should totally keep going to school. Like don't like work yourself to death. Like watch your stress levels. So like I forgot who I heard it from, but someone was like, oh, it's like we're the us and Hermeus. And I thought that was like hilarious, but like it is actually pretty true. It's like every time I talk about me going to school, like everyone's like, oh, holy hell, how are you doing that? Like right on, like keep chugging along, it's good for you and stuff. And like everyone that I talk to is like, oh, like dude, that's freaking awesome. So like I don't know, I feel like there's definitely more of a, hey, you're a person and you have value input here, but like take care of yourself. Like people come first. Be happy. Make sure you're happy with what you're doing. Make sure you're getting your rest and like don't stress out. Speak up when you need help and stuff. So I think like it's really nice and like eye-opening to be at a company where like people are actually like checking in on each other. Like I think that's like the biggest thing.
Do you feel supported when Manu comes around and brings beers at Friday at 5 o'clock?
Yes.
Okay.
Joel too.
Very well supported.
But yeah, it's like I don't know, and then it's like also the sheer fact of like coming in as manufacturing specialist and like talking about like me going to school was because the fact that I was like, oh man, like I want to be an engineer. I want to do these things. And so it's like I'm kind of filling the role and I'm like learning as I'm going along and stuff. And there's like a lot of times that like for me mentally, I'm like, oh, like I don't know if I'm filling the shoes and stuff. And so like there's been times that I come to Neel and Neel's like, that's fine. None of us know what we're doing. And I'm like, okay, that makes me feel good. Or like when we go to like lunch together as like a team and stuff and like, oh man, I'm kind of stressing out. And then you just kind of hear like the cascade of everyone like, oh, yeah, me too. We're all stressing out. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I'm not alone in this. Like, I don't know. It's like, you definitely feel the bond of a team, whether that's because it's small. Like I like to think it's because like the company as a whole, I haven't come across like really anyone that like I haven't gotten that sense of like family and like we're a team. We're all in this together. I've kind of experienced that with everyone that I've ran into LA and Atlanta.
Sweet.
So
All right.
awesome.
Let's see. This is a question to ask every one of us.
You go first.
No chance.
Lead by example.
How does our engineering approach differ from other aerospace companies? Which is a tough question because I've only worked at one other aerospace company.
Me too.
So like it's going to be a little
Me too.
extrapolating our understanding.
Oh, actually, I went to JPL too. I've got 2.
Oh.
Yeah, yeah.
All right, that means you go first.
No, I go
Seniority.
last. You go first.
Wait, we should almost go together because we like help wrate this process. Yeah.
We speak at the same time?
Yeah. We do the Hermeus
things.
the things.
That was
done,
the worst.
Neel.
Cut that out.
I was fired.
It's the feedback loop. All right. I guess I'll start. Granted, I've not worked at many other aerospace companies. But I think the main way that the Hermeus approach differs from the traditional aerospace approach is we have strong, like functional facing, full life cycle owners. We call them responsible engineers. And instead of taking a single product that would get delivered to a vehicle and subdividing the responsibility across, I don't know, a designer, an analyst, a test engineer, like, I don't know, 5 other roles. I'm going to struggle to even list all the other scopes. But instead of basically taking a single scope and decomposing it across a team of like 5 or 7 to go accomplish the job, we do our absolute best to squish all of it into a single responsibility set. And in order to make sure the scope is tractable, we decompose the functional breakdown maybe a little more such that a person is able to deliver a tangible thing. And so by structuring our world in this way, we minimize some interfaces that traditional like structures I think would run into. And I think at a high level, it leverages high frequency communication much more than the traditional engineering model, where I don't know, we use Microsoft Teams, which I'd say is pretty sick. I don't know, compared to like the way Skype used to be, and even before quick messaging. So
part of that mindset change, I think, compared to like other big, I haven't worked at other big companies, so something like an NASA Center or JPL, part of it I think is risk posture. Like we are trying to do, we're at a very different point in our like engineering life, where JPL is trying to do these like crazy missions that have to work on the first time, no human intervention, which means they have to figure out every corner case, every like fault case when like things go wrong. The thing is like it takes 8 months, right, to get to another planetary body or more. So like the light communication time might be too long for a person to respond to things happening. So they have to coordinate things to work perfectly the first time. The program costs millions, and you're probably never going to get a chance to do it again. So it's a one-off. That risk posture leads you, that like setup leads you to have a much more conservative risk posture, where you want to make sure you check everything you possibly can. Whereas where Hermeus is in our, and that's not wrong. That's not a wrong way to do it. I think that's probably the right way to do it for that set of constraints. For our set of constraints, where we're just like trying to make a new product and survive as a company, we can design our risk posture to be much looser, where we are okay with failures as long as we design the failures to be cheap and recoverable. So often something, if it's like an analysis paralysis kind of thing, you can just go try it. You know, if it like breaks or blows up, you just try it again. You evaluate what went wrong and fix it. And the number of days, if it takes a week to try and figure something out by analysis, but it takes a day to go like buy some stuff and test it, our like company runway, the percentage of Hermeus's lifespan you save by trying it out is much larger. So it's much more efficient to do it that way.
I think it biases you a little bit towards that direction, but I don't think risk posture alone is what drives you to like a hyper delineated set of responsibilities to go deliver a product.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I also think like more than just having the RE structure. Like the other place I've worked before this is another startup that also had an RE structure, and how Hermeus very specifically, because our RE structure isn't unique to Hermeus, but how Hermeus is unique within that structure is its ability to, like in an RE structure, there's a lot of communication that has to happen, standards, whatever. But at Hermeus, it feels like over time, having seen Hermeus through many stages of its ability to communicate internally, we're really honing in on this really good ability to communicate, not just be really good engineers that like have this super ownership, but we're like taking a lot of time to, I don't want to call them like soft skills, but that communication aspect, so we can move even faster than just having an RE structure is a thing I think that is Hermeus unique.
How did the RE structure at the other company differ from ours?
Loaded question, Dan.
On the spot.
Yeah, I would. It was extreme ownership, but a lot more hierarchy. Like, it's not that you didn't have extreme ownership, but like the way that you went about communicating with other teams, it wasn't siloed. You still knew what other teams were doing, but the expectation was that you would go through your manager a little bit more than just being like, I'm an RE, I am owning what I'm doing, therefore I need to go talk to this person. There's a lot more, what I really like about Hermeus is there's a lot more expectation that everybody is just, you don't get promoted and then perform at a high level. You get promoted because you're already performing at a high level and you want to help other people perform at that high level, and you get promoted even more if you're helping other people perform at a high level. It's like, there's more emphasis on like everybody's got to be good at this. You can't rely on like this one manager guy being good at communicating. Yeah. And that's what I've noticed as different.
I think for me, being in the unique situation of I think maybe I need to explain, like my experience is like 6 years at SpaceX. I started at like an entry technician. 2 years after, became a test specialist for the Dragon system, and then 2 years after that, manufacturing specialist for Raptor components. And so like coming here, I think one of the biggest differences that I see that like is like really cool to see, and like I don't know if it's just because SpaceX was big or because Hermeus like actually tries to do this differently, but the like amount of manufacturing being involved in designs, and then like kind of like Tatum saying, communication. Like I think the engineering team does a really good job of like explaining to everyone and like trying to put it in layman's terms, so like it doesn't matter what your background is. Like I think you have that like metaphor for like sand and gravel.
Yeah.
So like putting it in ways that everyone can understand, and then if everyone can understand it, then everyone can put in improvements or feedback. And I think that's been like the biggest thing that I've noticed that like engineering here does, is they look for feedback from everyone, but they don't like exclude people based off of the terminology or the way they say things. And like I think that's been the biggest thing, that like you see a lot more people from like manufacturing and the technicians and stuff like that, like wanting to do feedback and give improvements and things like that, because it's like they don't feel like belittled because they don't understand the terminology or anything. And I think that's like a huge thing that like I notice is different here.
All right, last segment called This or That. So this one's going to require me to read the sheet of paper as opposed to looking at it and then asking completely different questions. Worst traffic, Atlanta or LA? Neel.
Where's traffic? The peak of crazy people in traffic is higher in Atlanta, but the average is higher in LA.
What would you say the standard deviation is between the two cities?
5. I don't know what the units are.
I'd say on the delta, like what
Oh my god.
the standard deviation delta between
Where's the whiteboard?
Atlanta and LA?
I think it's us. I think it's significant. I think it's like 20-30%.
Wow.
Yeah, they're much worse, but the average is higher here.
Tatum?
I have a conflicting opinion. Not really. I'm along the same lines. The danger in Atlanta traffic is much higher, but the ignorance in LA traffic is much higher.
It's a multidimensional problem. You can't this or that. It's not binary. I will not
I'd
be
say
pigeonholed.
okay. I will say
If the
Neel,
question is which traffic
Take it back.
gives you more fear when driving in it?
I don't feel fearful at all in the LA. I grew up in Atlanta though. I feel like in LA, I just am frustrated. In Atlanta, I'm on edge. It's like adrenaline versus frustration.
Okay.
There's a lot more people here.
The best way I always put it is Atlanta is the only place that I drive 10 and 2. LA, no, I'm chilling. Atlanta, 10 and 2, sitting straight. Mirror set properly.
One thing I noticed though when I moved here is like I used to be not like the Atlanta driver that was crazy, but I could cut across 8 lanes of traffic and not feel anything. I'd be like, yeah, no, like we're bob and weaving. And now it's like I've softened since I've come to LA. Like I'm like, okay, I'll take more than like 100 feet to do this. I'm really just outing myself. This isn't it.
California Highway Patrol has a few questions.
Yeah, perfect.
All right. This next one, Francis, Manhattan Beach or Malibu?
Cool. I'm going to go with Malibu just because that's close to the venue where I'm getting married. So,
Oh, hell yeah. Congratulations.
thank you.
Oh my God, getting married, going to school, and working. Like, what don't you do?
Yeah, thank God the venue had a planner part of it. I was straight up when they said that part, was like, take my money.
All right. This next one's for all three of you. I don't actually know if you've been to these places, so let me know. LACMA or the Getty?
The Getty.
Yeah, I would say the Getty.
Modern art is, well, horse shit. There's nothing art or modern about it.
How does it make you feel?
It makes me feel like the amount of money I'm going to make in my career over my whole life is worth less than the urinal the dude bolted to the wall. So resentful, probably.
So it invokes a strong emotional reaction.
No.
Oh, okay. It invokes
Art is-
nothingness.
Yeah.
Okay, excellent.
I won't let the modern art have power over me.
What does art mean to you? And what would you say its effect is?
Someone else?
Neil, you've so got this. You're in the right spot for this question right now.
It probably means different things to different people.
We're asking you.
I mean,
No.
no one's listening this deep into the podcast at this point.
It looks nice. It looks nice.
All right.
Yeah, it doesn't make me angry. That's a key parameter of good art.
I think that's a good litmus test. Anger caused by art probably means you don't like it.
Maybe. I mean, art's meant to evoke emotion, no? So that's an emotion. What was the question?
All right, Tatum, LACMA or the Getty?
I don't have an opinion on this one.
Excellent.
Unfortunately.
I'll do her opinion too. I will continue to add my opinion.
This one is going to be this, that, or that, because I'm going to add a third choice. Rams, Chargers, or Falcons?
So I wouldn't pick because I don't have time to watch sports.
Fair.
I don't like football.
Nailed it.
I was gonna ask what sport this is.
Clean sweep.
Can we do basketball?
We can do basketball. Clippers, Lakers, or Hawks?
Hawks.
Nailed it.
Just include that bit. Don't include the passing around.
All right, I'm going to add a third to this one as well. So it's going to be this, that, or that. In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, or Waffle House?
Francis, you've seen a fight at Waho now. You're fully equipped.
This isn't even a hard one, Francis.
For me, it's always going to be In-N-Out.
Can we
I'm sorry.
rank them?
Yes, that's allowed.
Okay.
Oh, yes. I'd be In-N-Out, Waffle House, Chick-fil-A. Because every time I want Chick-fil-A, it's always on a Sunday. So it never works out.
I don't like Chick-fil-A that much. I think it's overrated. I do Waffle House, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A.
Nice.
In-N-Out is like, I like In-N-Out. I think it's like one of the best like tasting fast food establishments. Waffle House is like on a different tier. I don't think we deserve it as humans. Like, that's where I am with Waffle House.
Waffle House is a cultural institution.
Have you seen the meme that's like the Northern Lights versus the Southern Lights? And it's like the Northern Lights is like the Aurora Borealis and the Southern Lights is like the Waffle House sign.
I have not, but that's incredible.
You made a comment earlier. You're like, in LA, we have nice weather. Do you miss thunderstorms?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I think we're deep in the summer right now. And my mom, I'll call her and she'll be like, oh, it's about to storm. I'm like, can you just send me a video? Like, I'd love to be there. But.
I guess for people on the phone or on the whatever this is, I'm from Georgia.
Oh, yeah. That's just a key detail.
That's maybe notable or useful for context. All right. Neil.
Probably Waho, In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A's not that good.
Yeah.
I think I'm aligned with Neil. And I think you said the same.
Same.
Where like Waffle House is a cultural institution, like literally needed for society to function at large.
The amount of planning that went into the Waho emergency preparedness, disaster preparedness menu, yeah.
It's remarkable.
They have no running water menu. They have no electricity menu. They deploy food trucks when like a store gets like its electricity shut off or like if no one comes into work or something.
It's incredible.
I recently recreated an all-star for dinner. That's the day I was having.
That's an incredible day for you.
I was like, in a day, waffle, chocolate chips, butterscotch chips, pecans. Sorry.
Beautiful.
Yeah, just need to share.
All right, next one. I'm curious if we have an answer on this. Disneyland or Universal Studios? And note that Harry Potter World fits into Universal Studios.
You act like I haven't been.
For the group.
Okay. I have like a strong opinion on this one, so
please take it away.
I'm like a theme park gal. Like I really like theme parks. Universal in Orlando is my favorite theme park ever. It's so good. The Universal here, not good.
Sad.
It's really unfortunate. There's just not enough rides.
Have you been to the one in Europe? How can you rank it as the best of all time?
The ones I've been to, the best of the ones I've been to. I should caveat. Disney is like a fun experience if you like want to go drink and eat, but the rides, not my favorite.
Francis?
For me, I'm Disneyland all the way.
Oh,
I love it. And like before the COVID, where they started doing like the reservation things, I was always the annual pass holder because like one, it makes it like going on rides. You can go one ride a day, enjoy it, and you can do.
we are so different.
And you could see the little parades or little shows or whatever. And then me and my fiance, we are very people watchers. So we would go for a nice turkey leg and just watch the family fight.
That is an option. That is an option at Universal, but you can also go on a roller coaster that like sends you 300 miles an hour up,
but
but it launched you anyway.
at Universal, you don't get to watch two brothers, one of them with a lightsaber and taking a cool 5 seconds looking at it and then walloping his brother.
I was about to ask, what's the worst behaved child you've ever seen?
That was the best one. Me and Jocelyn were like sitting down, eating and like drinking. And like, yeah, you just see like these two like brothers and like one of them's a plastic lightsaber. And you can tell like he's like planning it in his head. And a few seconds and whack. And like
Did he
immediately.
look around for witnesses after?
No, he was just straight up looking at that whack. And then he just smiled and his mom takes the lightsaber away. And then he's just like, all right, cool.
I knew
That's
it was
all I
gonna
wanted from
happen.
it.
All right, Neil.
Oh, I haven't been to either.
Excellent. All right. We got 2 or 3 more of these, and then I want to make up another section to do.
There's also 2 Six Flags in the competing cities, by the way.
Oh, that's true. Which city has the better Six Flags?
I've been a season pass holder of both for a long, like Georgia, I was a season pass holder of Six Flags for 13 years.
I haven't been to either.
No, you gotta do yourself a favor. It's such a loaded question. I feel like it's like, you know, I've seen Six Flags over Georgia through the floods. You know what I mean? Like
You've
it
been there
actually
for
flooded in 2009. But I think that the roller coasters are better at Magic Mountain. I hate to say it.
Wow. That's
Which
and
one
for,
is
That's in in LA.
Okay.
And then over Georgia is in Georgia.
Better as in how?
Like the rides are longer and
You got
like
a headache
the
for
roller
longer?
coaster roller coasters are bigger. You should let me answer.
I do have to like how like the last time I want to say maybe last year, Jocelyn and I went to Six Flags and like after every ride we needed to sit down for a cool minute. Like how do you enjoy
I
it?
like that. I like the feeling. I like that at Atlanta. I like know how to or Six Flags over Georgia. I can just like I know the layout really well. Like I haven't gotten my bearings quite the same way in Magic Mountain, and I like know what time to go to what ride. Yeah, but I like like the bigger roller coasters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
all right. This is a fun one. SR-71 or F-117?
Neither. No, SR-71.
All right. Window seat on an airplane or aisle seat on an airplane?
Window.
Yeah, window for me.
I guess middle is also an option. Sorry, Tatum, I left that one off for you.
Yeah, no, that really changes everything.
All right. I figured, I don't know, we'll do 5 minutes of like, there's no audience to ask us questions, but all of you have been asked lots of questions, I'm sure, at your time at Hermeus. What are like some of the questions you've been asked, and like what was the answer you gave? And maybe this fails, we just cut it.
Like from people that don't work at Hermeus or
Yeah, yeah.
people at Hermeus?
From like, people outside of Hermeus about the LA office.
One of the questions that I always get is why LA and why specifically in our location right next door to SpaceX. And I always say like the building itself wasn't meant. It was more so of the talent pool in LA is what we were targeting.
I can give you the building answer.
Oh,
I wanted to be in El Segundo so bad. We like down selected to these 2 choices. There was a building we're in now, which don't get me wrong, it's great. I love this building. But there was another choice in El Segundo. It was just much more expensive. And so like the amount of, we're looking for like the 10,000 square foot amount of space with like high bay and office blend, all in like kind of near the airport. Cause you know, we commute, or a lot of people fly between Atlanta and LA. And man, if the El Segundo spot was just cheaper, like at that time 2 years ago, cause man, El Segundo has great food, and closer to the beach.
Heyo.
So yeah, it was a slightly bummer.
Sorry to bring you down.
No, it's okay. I still like, this is a great office. Like, I don't know, floors are nice, desks are great. Like,
I love the photo of your footprint in the newly epoxied floor.
yeah, I fucked that one up. Don't walk on wet floors. Mistake.
People ask me a lot why, like, they compare us to the Concorde and ask like why we're going to be successful when the Concorde wasn't. And it's like depending on that's the most common question I get from people like kind of outside of engineering, and I just like explain the market around this vehicle is usually what I do.
That's a good one.
Oh, actually, to add, I know another one that I get asked. Not like just LA, but why leave SpaceX for Hermeus? And for me, like the way that I put it was Margaret, great freaking recruiter. Shout out to her. She reached out to me, and like any other company that reached out to me on LinkedIn was like, hey, like we have an open position. You want to like work here and stuff? And I'd be like, oh, well, I'm going to school currently and working full time. So like, if you guys are okay with that, then we can continue the conversation. And almost every time the response is, oh, yeah, never mind. And that's it. But Margaret, when she reached out to me, same thing, same typical email of, hey, yeah, like I'm going to school currently and working full time. If Hermeus is cool with that, like, then we can continue the conversation. And her response blew me out of the water. She's like, oh yeah, I already told the entire team. Everyone's okay with that. Like, I read that on your profile. And I was like, wait, you actually read my profile when you reached out to me? Like, you're actually looking into the people that you are recruiting? Like, yeah, this sounds great. Let's continue talking. And like, I think that's like the prime example of like I always tell people when they ask me like why I left SpaceX for Hermeus is like that right there. It seems like such a tiny detail, but like for the recruiter to turn around and read your LinkedIn and be like, hey, we want you to come. And I've actually already told the team that you're going to school. And that's a part of your like bio in LinkedIn. Like, to me, that meant like 1,000 words right there.
That's awesome. Yeah. Neil, you got any? And has anyone ever asked you a question?
No.
Oh.
Yeah. Usually I just get asked about talk about the tech you guys are working on. I don't know that we want to waste too much of this podcast on that. There's lots of stuff on our website already about it, but yeah, the problem we're solving is pretty cool and people are pretty interested in it. Yeah, like you sent me, there's like been patents out for this kind of stuff for decades, but hasn't been done yet. So that's kind of like the interest point. Most of the people I talk to are engineers.
Ooh, one thing I get asked by engineers is about the founders. I get asked like what the founders are like, and like they've heard whatever they've heard about them, and they ask like for confirmation or not. And I'm pretty honest about it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the founders host this a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. All right. Well, I think
You didn't answer.
Oh, well, things that have been asked?
Yeah.
That was kind of my spiel at the beginning.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. Let's see. I think I get asked a fair amount about how like we like create the Hermeus culture and like workflows and how we structure our world. Every engineering company is structured differently, and like I don't know. The easiest way I put it to people is like Hermeus does engineering kind of in the same way engineering was done in the 60s, like in early 70s, like back when shit got made and things got flown. We're not really doing anything that new on like how we do engineering, just like in a development environment, pushing to learn quickly, failing early, trying to parallelize fixes as much as we possibly can as opposed to doing things serially. But yeah. All right. I think that's all the time we got. So thanks for the time, and we'll see you guys next time.
Heyo.